Imagine this for a moment. You walk into a room, and someone looks at you, then laughs quietly with another person. Nothing is said to you. Nothing actually happens. But suddenly, your chest feels tight, your thoughts start racing, and a heavy feeling settles inside you. You start wondering if they are laughing at you, judging you, or thinking something bad about you. Now pause and ask yourself honestly, where did that pain really come from? It did not come from their laughter. It came from the meaning your mind created. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, but also one of the most freeing. The only thing you truly control in this life is your perception. You cannot control people, their words, their behavior, or what happens around you. But you do control how you interpret those things, the story you tell yourself about them, and the meaning you give them. That meaning decides whether you suffer or stay at peace. Most of us grow up believing that other people control our emotions. We say things like, "They hurt me," or "that situation ruined my day." But if we look closely, we begin to see something uncomfortable. The same situation hurts one person deeply and barely affects another. The same words can crush one heart and bounce off another. That tells us something important. The pain is not in the event itself. The pain is in how we receive it. Think about a child who brings home a report card with one bad grade. A parent sighs and says, "Why can't you do better?" The words may seem small, but the feeling can stay for years. That child grows up carrying a quiet fear of not being enough. Now imagine that same person as an adult. A manager gives mild feedback at work, not even harsh, just honest. Suddenly, the same old feeling returns. Tight chest, shame, self-doubt. The manager did not cause this pain. They only touched an old wound that never healed. This is how emotional pain works. Life does not directly hurt us. It presses on the sensitive places inside us. Ancient philosophers understood this long ago. Marcus Aurelius said that if you are distressed by something external, the pain comes from your judgment of it, not from the thing itself. In simple words, events are neutral. We decide what they mean. Look at how words affect you. If a stranger on the street says something rude, you might ignore it. But if someone you love or respect says the same thing, it can stay in your mind for days. The words did not change. The person speaking did. And more importantly, what those words touched inside you changed. Imagine a stranger yelling, "You are a purple elephant." You would probably laugh. It has no power because you know it is not true. But if someone says, "You are not good enough," it might hurt. Why? Because somewhere inside you, there's a fear that it might be true. The words only hurt because they agree with a doubt already living inside you. There's an old saying that iron is not destroyed by outside force, but by rust from within. Iron is strong against pressure, heat, and weight. But when rust slowly eats it from the inside, even a small force can break it. Human beings are the same. Life can throw insults, rejection, and failure at us. But those things only break us when they meet inner doubt, shame, or unresolved pain. Without that inner rust, the same blows feel much lighter. This is why two people can face the same situation and walk away very differently. One person loses a job and feels worthless, broken, and ashamed. Another person loses a job and feels disappointed but hopeful. The event is the same. The meaning is different, and the meaning decides the outcome. Carl Jung explained this in a powerful way. He said that everything that irritates us about others helps us understand ourselves. Strong emotional reactions are not random. They are signals. They are showing us where something inside us still needs healing. When something triggers you deeply, it is usually pointing to an old fear or wound. Pay attention to what hurts you the most. Being ignored, being criticized, being replaced, being talked over. These triggers often come from earlier experiences where you felt unseen, unvalued, or unsafe. The present moment is just reopening the past. I remember a time when someone joked and said, "You always mess things up." They laughed and moved on, but my body reacted instantly. My chest tightened. My face felt warm. I felt small and defensive. Later, when I sat quietly and reflected, I realized the truth. The pain did not come from their joke. It came from a belief I had carried for years, that I had to be perfect to be worthy. That belief did not start that day. It started long before. The joke only exposed it. That moment forced me to look inward instead of blaming outward. I asked myself if it was really true. When I looked honestly at my life, I saw that I had failed at times, but I had also grown, learned, and succeeded. Slowly, that inner wound began to heal. Something interesting happened as it healed. The world became quieter. People did not suddenly become kinder, but their words stopped hurting as much. There was nothing inside me for those words to hook into anymore. This is what real strength looks like. Not controlling others, not winning arguments, but having inner clarity. Psychology calls this shadow work. It means bringing hidden pain into awareness so it stops controlling your reactions. It is not easy, but it is freeing. You do not become numb. You become steady. Even without deep inner work, there is something powerful you can practice right now. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, said that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose. That space is where freedom lives. Something happens. Someone says something hurtful. That is a stimulus. Your body reacts automatically. Heart rate increases. Muscles tense. That is human biology. You cannot stop that first reaction. But then comes a space. A brief pause where you decide what the moment means. In that space, you can choose. You can ask yourself if this is really about you. You can decide whether to react or respond. You can choose whether to let it ruin your day or let it pass. That pause may seem small, but it changes everything. Science supports this. When we feel threatened, the emotional part of the brain takes over. Stress hormones flood the body, and clear thinking shuts down. This is why people say things they later regret. They were not choosing. They were reacting. But when you pause, even for a slow breath, you activate the thinking part of your brain. Your body receives a signal that you are safe. With practice, your nervous system learns. What once felt like a threat begins to feel manageable. Your brain actually rewires itself. This is emotional resilience. It is not about being cold or detached. It is about staying grounded. Emotional pain is processed in the brain in the same way as physical pain. That is why word can hurt so deeply. It is not just a saying. The pain is real. But unlike physical pain, emotional pain depends heavily on interpretation. You cannot stop someone from saying something hurtful, but you can decide where it lands inside you. Think about being stuck in traffic. You are late, and nothing is moving. One mindset says, "This always happens to me. My life is a mess." Another mindset says, "This is frustrating, but I cannot control it." The traffic does not change. Only your inexperience does. Or imagine sending a message to a friend and getting no reply for hours. One story says, "They do not care about me." Another story says, "They are probably busy." Same silence, different suffering. Our minds create stories constantly. Those stories shape our emotional reality. This does not mean ignoring feelings. It means not drowning in them. You feel anger, but you do not become it. You feel disappointment, but you do not let it define you. As you practice this, something else changes. You stop taking everything personally. When someone is rude or unkind, you begin to see their pain instead of absorbing their behavior. You understand that hurt people often hurt others. This does not mean accepting disrespect. It means responding with clarity instead of ego. So how do you build this in daily life? Start with awareness. When you feel triggered, pause and ask yourself what story you are telling. Ask what old wound this might be touching. Then choose how you want to respond. Even that small moment of reflection can stop a chain reaction. Life will still challenge you. People will still disappoint you. But they will no longer control you. You stop living at the mercy of opinions and events. You begin living from your own center. At the deepest level, this is a truth. No one can make you feel inferior, angry, or worthless without your mind's permission. That permission can be withdrawn at any time. When you realize this, you gain a kind of quiet strength. Disappointments no longer destroy you. They guide you. Criticism no longer defines you. It informs you or passes by. You cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. Once you learn to adjust your inner sails, life storms lose their power. You move through the world grounded, clear, and steady. You become responsible for your inner world. And that is real freedom.